She did what Joe did and tried to pass that work off onto someone else. Using USAID, they wrote up a contract worth up to $800 million for consultants to find the root causes for them. But here's the problem. Walter Barnes III, the man who founded one of these companies that got the cash, was a known con man. He just pled guilty to a decade-long USAID bribery scheme. And the government knew he was shady for years, even before they gave him all the money. Now, in 2023, the USAID Inspector General said Barnes lacked honesty and integrity. But on the same day, he was awarded an $800 million contract. They had good reason to be suspicious. Over the years, Barnes secured big money deals by bribing USAID employee with pricey basketball suites, a trip to the vineyard, and even a down payment on a house. Isn't that nice? And once he got paid, Barnes burned through pallets of cash, doing everything but what we paid him to do. We reached out to Walter, never got back to her.
Want to really see something just said, take a look what happened.
Why this beat so crazy?
We will make America proud again. If you try to kill our we will make America wealthy again. And yes, together, we will make America great again.
Yep. Oh, yeah. It seems like every single day, somebody's guilty. Somebody is guilty every single day, isn't it? Somebody pleads guilty. Somebody is guilty. Somebody ought to be walked out with their hands behind their back. They say, why does Rick talk about handcuffs so much? I'm starting to think something is wrong with Rick. But hey, look, just look. I try telling you. You know, some of the biggest scandals, some of the biggest scandals. And the truth must shine in the light. Especially when it comes to this crap here, Joe Biden, Otto Pengate, vegetable in chief scandal, zombie scandal, this lady laughing, the laughing scandal. I call it the laugh. She's laughing. She's laughing and drunk right now. You know, it all comes out. The root causes. I'll tell you. You know, USAID. And we know how this all is played out. You know, President Trump's back in there and seeing what Elon and Doge has done. And people pleading guilty. This person's guilty. This person comes out. Come to find out this happened. They paid somebody to do this. This person got this much of money. That this was a scam. The NGO, this. People, just a lot of people. Criminals, crooks, filthy elected officials, politicians ought to be walked out with their hands behind they back. And I done got so mad, some of them patriots done got so mad, they saying put their feet behind their back, shack them by the ankles and carry them out and throw them in the slam or throw them in the truck. That's what them patriots say in the comments. Now, I'm just reading some of the comments, which I've been saying. People are so pissed off, they saying, put your ankles, put your feet behind your back. Shoot. I mean, man. Hope everybody's having a blessed, beautiful weekend, you know. We had a huge update on this whole $550 million bribery scandal. People pleading guilty. People are just guilty. Lying, scamming dogs, you know, criminals and crooks, you know, a night and day difference with this administration versus the previous administration. You know, we got some huge breaking news. It's breaking news every 5 minutes, every hour. We're praying for this administration, President Trump, and praying for peace. We know what this man has inherited, a complete mess, you know. And if things went the way it should have went, we probably wouldn't be in this mess. I'm just saying. You know?
wanted to find root causes.
We want to work with you to address both the acute causes as well as the root causes. We are focused on addressing both the acute factors and the root causes. Not only the root causes, but the acute causes. To look at the root causes and the acute causes. My trip to Guatemala and Mexico was about addressing the root causes. Addressing the root causes of irregular migration. For the past 3 years, I have led our administration's efforts to address the root causes of migration.
And we're learning now that she did what Joe did and tried to pass that work off onto someone else. Using USAID, they wrote up a contract worth up to $800 million for consultants to find the root causes for them. But here's the problem. Walter Barnes III, the man who founded one of these companies that got the cash, was a known con man. He just pled guilty to a decade-long USAID bribery scheme. And the government knew he was shady for years, even before they gave him all the money. In 2023, the USAID Inspector General said Barnes lacked honesty and integrity. But on the same day, he was awarded an $800 million contract. They had good reason to be suspicious. Over the years, Barnes secured big money deals by bribing USAID employee with pricey basketball suites, a trip to the vineyard, and even a down payment on a house. Isn't that nice? And once he got paid, Barnes burned through pallets of cash, doing everything but what we paid him to do. We reached out to Walter, never got back to us.
You know, you just can't make it up. I have to believe, was it Doug? My brother Doug in Exile, my brother. Yeah, a huge video on this. I want to check it out as well. You know. But you just can't make this up, man. You just can't, you know, and it's all coming out. As you can see, as Trump is your president, a lot of more of the things going to be exposed, and a lot of everything about this previous administration and how corrupt it was, it's all coming out. Everything must come to the light, you know. I know we're waiting on everything, man. Full transparency, and right now this administration is in the spotlight, and if they want to keep the people's trust, everything must come out. People must be held accountable. You know? And they know that. Trump knows that. Trump knows he's making decisions. He's gonna have to make some big decisions, and even in 2 weeks, because his legacy is on the line. But we are behind President Trump. We are rooting for President Trump, and we know what everything that is taking place and what's happening right now. We elected him just for what's going on right now. We needed President Trump's leadership for everything that is going on right now. And it is so much corruption, so much fishy things going on. So much people laughing to the bank. Laughing to the bank. People with their hands in the cookie jar. And them Patriots say they want their money back. Send a refund out or something. I'm just saying what they say. You might not agree on it, but that's what they saying. You know.
Biggest massive USAID scam was just revealed. $500 million. This involves Kamala Harris. Of course, the Democrat Party's giant slush fund is USAID, and we've got the exposure here. Welcome to Doug in Exile. This is where the happy patriots are. Hope you guys are having a great day. Part of why we're happy is because all this stuff is getting exposed. If Trump didn't win, this would all be going on. In fact, it would probably be expanding with even more fraud being stolen from you, the taxpayers. I'm going to go into all these other ways that you are paying for just the worst stuff in the world with your taxes. JD Van.
Them Patriots say send us a refund check in the mail or something. I'm just saying what they say. Y'all don't have to agree on it. That's what them Patriots are saying.
It's even said today that part of your taxes are to go to help pay for the UK's failed medical system, that we're giving them money. So, welcome to Doug in Exile. Here's the story on Jesse Waters, which is where we're going to start.
The southern border is a ghost town. Every bad hombre in the third world knows we're not spread eagle anymore. They love Joe, and his borders are Kamala. She was never really interested in building a wall. She just wanted to find root
We already
causes.
went through this.
We want to work with you to address both the acute.
I just showed y'all this.
Always trying to translate Kamala Harris, who is terrible at messaging, because all of her messaging, it doesn't just go over my head. We're trying to address the acute causes as well as the root causes. Anytime that a politician speaks, it should bring more clarity to your mind, more clarity to your head about what is actually going on with causes, let's say. We all know what the word causes mean. We don't know the difference between acute and root, okay? So now we have to try and define her word salad, and your mind just can't follow the argument. That's the problem, is this is all university speak, intellectual speak, smart people speak. It doesn't have to have a meaning that helps carry you along through an argument so that you have better understanding. It just needs to make you sound like you're dumb and they're smart, so put them in charge. That's how that vocabulary works.
Not only the root causes, but the acute causes. To look at the root causes and the acute causes.
I don't think even she knows what this means.
My trip to Guatemala and Mexico
A disgrace.
was about to address the root causes of migration.
And we're learning now that she did what Joe did and tried to pass that work off onto someone else using USAID.
A word salad computer. I mean, just program word salads. I mean, we didn't just dodge a bullet. Them Patriots say a nuclear missile. Mm-hmm. Oh boy, I'm glad, and the people spoke loud and clear. Landslide, every single swing state. They seen this mess. They seen how bad of a mess this was. They seen these lying, scamming dogs. They seen the biggest scandal in American history. They seen the auto pen zombie in chief scandal. Get up there, don't know what the hell she's saying. Repeats the same thing over and over, then repeats it and then repeats it backwards. I'm just glad.
They wrote up a contract. Who founded one of these companies?
The big one. This is Texas Rep. Steve Toth showing Democrats went on the House floor for 2 hours to argue that people should be able to, who move into your home illegally while you go on vacation, known as squatters, should be allowed to stay. Now, this is a big fight. You know, in California, it's called squatters' rights. If you walk into a domicile and you take it over, or if you overstay your rent, you have certain rights and they end up staying there. That's not here in Tennessee. Tennessee is right to work, so you're allowed to throw people out in Tennessee, but not in Gavin Newsom's California. We're going to get more into Gavin Newsom, but here's the guy on what the Democrats are fighting for on the House floor.
Senate Bill 38 going to the Texas House, and this bill seeks to keep squatters out of our house. Democrats have fought for 2 hours for the right, I don't even know how to say this, for the right of people that don't belong in your house to stay in your house. In the event that you leave for a month or two and a squatter goes in and takes your house over, Democrats are fighting for the ability of those people to be able to stay in your house. It's the most jacked up thing I've ever heard.
Jacked up thing I ever heard. I need to make a t-shirt of that. It's the most jacked up thing I ever heard. And it's true, you know, Democrats do not believe in property rights. That is an inheritance from communism going all the way down. You know, in China, you don't own land. The state owns all the land, and you're basically lifelong leasing it. You can't pass it on to your relatives. So this is another form where they're trying to separate you from the rights of your house. And if a human body's in there, you can't kick them out. Squatters' rights all over California, by the way, breaking. Our individuals plead guilty in connection with a $550 million scheme. So here it is.
People are pleading guilty, all part of a $500 million bribery scandal involving USAID. Mike Emanuel has the story from Washington. Bill, good morning. The scheme involving cash, NBA tickets, and a country club wedding. According to the Justice Department, USAID official Roderick Watson sold his influence starting back in 2013. Contractors Walter Barnes and Daryl Britt funneled payoffs through subcontractor Paul Young to hide their tracks. It doesn't end there. Barnes' company, working in conjunction with another firm, kept receiving federal funds. $5,000 for human resources consulting late last year, and then later, after suing the government, a contract worth up to $800 million. Matthew R. Galliotti, head of the Justice Department's criminal division, saying, quote, their scheme violated the public trust by corrupting the federal government's procurement process. Anybody who cares about good and effective government should be concerned about the waste, fraud, and abuse in government agencies, including USAID.
USAID, thank you, Elon Musk. You exposed no Elon Musk, no exposure of all this stuff from USAID. Fraud, abuse, waste, our tax dollars, and I mean a huge percentage of it. I'm guessing as high as like 40% of our tax dollars. Obviously, it didn't go to USAID, but just goes into a bloated government that does not operate like the way we have to conduct our businesses and our household finances, where you're cutting coupons, looking for good deals, getting the best price, getting the best contract. I have guys bidding on my roof right now. I'm not just going to take the first one, or the guy who's a brother-in-law, or the guy who I found is a Christian Republican. I'm not going to go, oh, you automatically get it, even though you're double the price of everybody else. No, they're going to have to compete with other vendors. And that's not how this USAID, how the government works. They have their favored vendors. They're all overpriced. They get a kickback that is, I'll say, hey, I'll bring you in and you'll get the contract for $250 million and you give me $500,000. Okay? And then you handshake on it. Donate to my campaign. That's how your government, but especially the Democrat Party, is being funded, like to the tune of 90% of all of the waste, fraud, and abuse found at USAID. 90% of the government workers give to Democrats and Democrat politicians in the Democrat Party. 90%.
D. Cutting waste, fraud, and abuse has been a big focus on Capitol Hill across government, a major priority for House Speaker Mike Johnson. The U.S. Agency for International Development has been a target for those looking to trim government spending, with some suggesting the agency funneled taxpayer dollars into ideological projects.
When USAID blew it, they showed themselves to be completely irresponsible. It needs to be redone, and the funds need to be directed properly.
Back to the scheme, the Justice Department says this kind of fraud erodes public trust. Bill? Wild story, Mike. $500 million. Remarkable.
$500 million for arrests made, thanks to judge. By the way, there's other cases coming. They're going to take a while. Let me just show you. Well, here's one. This is what I mean by it takes a while. This is Mila Joy. Breaking news. It is being reported that Pam Bondi and the DOJ are going to be charging multiple high-profile people for things that DOJ discovered. Cases are being built now that include members of Congress and heads of agencies. They'll be charged. Members of Congress and heads of agencies will be charged. When does it happen? Case is expected to hit early fall. Early fall? This is the problem, guys. Do things legally, they go slow. You can't rush into these things. This isn't a witch hunt. This isn't revenge. Sorry. So I know these things just take forever. They appear to be just so slow and so terrible, and that's just because you have to make them legal and do them slow. Now, I've got a little bonus video here. It's Harmeet Dillon, is one of my favorite people in the Trump administration. She's very good. I don't know if she's a Hindu or a Muslim, but Harmeet Dillon. One of civil rights' top priorities is to reclaim the natural rights of parents to direct the upbringing of their children. Schools exist to educate, not replace families. That is what I mean. That's going back to this philosophy or this idea when I said Democrats don't believe in property rights. You know, everything is owned by the government, same in communist China. And this is a problem with our school system, even our public school system, is that Democrats don't believe that you have a right to parent your kids. So they're always trying to instill doctors between parents and kids, public school teachers, therapists between the kids and their therapists or things. They're trying to say they have more authority than the absolute sovereign right of parents over their kids. And tradition and God and the universe and the country and common sense says parents have authority over their own kids.
I can tell you is that this administration is very interested in protecting parental rights and protecting the rights of children, particularly in the trans setting. You're seeing, I would never have thought when I began my career that there would even be one case of this, much less thousands of cases of young Americans being convinced that they were born in the wrong body. This is literally indoctrination happening to millions of American children today, and it's happening behind parents' backs. Parents don't get the opportunity to opt out. The types of teachers you see in the public schools today, and even some private schools, are completely crazy and, ideological and pushing their own left-wing agenda. And so millions of American children are being damaged by this every day. And so it is a high priority for this administration to reclaim the rights of families, the most fundamental unit of government, if you will. And I consider it a natural right issue. It isn't even a civil rights issue so much as these rights come from God, and they're, natural rights and human rights. Our civil rights laws may play a role in prosecuting or bringing on cases that protect these kinds of rights. But what we're doing, includes working with state attorneys general in sharing information with them. There has been massive off-label prescribing of drugs that alter hormones in children's bodies.
I'll go farther than just the hormone thing. I know of kids where the school demanded the kids get put on Adderall after therapy, and the parents didn't want to do it. Just think of the ideology. In fact, think of an unpopular ideology. I think of, what's the religion that's against blood transfusions? I think Jehovah's Witnesses, and probably Christian Science. These are religions, part of America.
Knocking on that door, knocking on that. Hey. Let me stop. I'm sorry, family. They say, Rick, sir, we're going to get you canceled, sir. Don't start, sir.
America's religions, okay? You might even think they're a cult. But does a parent have a right to raise their kid and say, I don't believe in blood transfusions? Yes. Can a parent say, I don't believe in vaccines? Yes. My religion, for me to say, look, if you don't believe that your kid must be baptized, then we're going to take your kid from us and turn him into a government Christian. You know what I mean? That's what it would be like. You'd go, no, I'm not a Christian. No different than my kid being taken from me and largely made into an atheist or a socialist or a liberal or a different sex that I don't believe in. Leave your grubby hands off other people's kids. They're that kid's parents' right, so long as they're not committing some kind of a crime against them. And no, you can't make up a crime. That's why I love that Harmeet Dillon said I believe it's even a natural right, a God-given authority for which government cannot step in and jump in front of that God-given right. Even if you enumerate in the Constitution, sorry, it does not go above God.
Is not permitted by the FDA, so you work with HHS on those issues. So all of these issues are being pursued by not just the DOJ, but also other government agencies.
Now, who did this? Democrats did this. Who did this? Democrats did this. That's why I'm at war with them. California can take away your kids and change their sex, and that is not okay. Okay, and they're fighting for worse than that. Underage dating, all of that. It's much worse than that. Therapy speak, getting them on mind-altering drugs, Ritalin, Adderall, name it, abortion pills for youth without parental consent. That goes against a basic family thing. It's why I'm at war with the Democrat Party. It's why I do this show with such a song on my heart, because I'm here to make a case against them and for American patriots, and in this case, parental rights, and against Kamala Harris, their frauds, their lies, their psychotic, giant, evil government that is here just trying to rip your family apart and become the parent of your house instead of you being the parent. I'm Doug.
My boy Doug killed it with that one. Yes, sirree. Somebody got to be walked out with their hands behind they back.
Good evening and welcome to a program devoted entirely to lefties losing it. Let's start with a musical flavour, and it seems that leftism destroys everything. Even the biggest superstars like Beyonce and Katy Perry have become figures of ridicule in 2025. Let's start with Katy, who, fresh from pretending to be an astronaut, is now being mocked for her cringe performance in her latest concert tour. Did she leave any discernible talent she had in space? I mean, imagine paying good money.
And we're learning now that she